just shot a deer. It's October 30th, and it's my biggest deer yet. And a lot of people have made fun of me for shooting small deer, but I do not hunt for the size of the antlers, ever. I don't think I ever will. And so when I see meat on the table, I take it. I had 2 bucks come in tonight. One little Y-horn. Well, it wasn't so little in my books. And then I heard more leaves. This is the best time hunting at this time of year, because although I mistake every red squirrel for a deer, they're unmistakable. So I had this little Y-horn sniffing around, and then this wonky antler buck kind of came up the hill, made a few scrapes, which was super cool. But this is only I'm gonna say, I don't know, 4th time I've been out hunting, just because we've been so busy. So basically I finish my chores or work and I run out to the stand, and more often than not, it's for my mental health. I literally just sit there and breathe in, oh my gosh, just now. Oh, the smell of leaves in the fall, honestly, it's intoxicating. Anyways, yeah, I just go out there to listen to the birds and watch the birds and watch the animals and just listen and relax. So anyways, this buck came in and it was quartering to the entire time, and then this big fat roly-poly raccoon distracted it, and he turned around and he was quartering away, and I got him in the Boilermaker. There's blood right where I hit him. So I'm shaking. I'm just walking back in to go get Brian. I don't want to bump him. I don't think he went far, but I didn't see him go down, so I just want to give him some time. So walking back in will give me the time to settle down a little bit. Sorry for the Blair Witch camera action here. And then we'll bring the trailer out and hopefully recover my deer. Oh man, I'm telling you what, when you make it a goal to not buy meat at the grocery store, it can get really stressful. It just increases my anxiety that much more. So anyways, I'll bring you along if it's light enough to show anything. Hey guys, I just wanted to check back in. We didn't get to video any of me recovering my deer last night, although it was super quick because it got dark. And we like to field dress it when we can. And I really like to field dress it. And it was the first time I had field dressed my own deer all by myself. So we just took the time to do it without the camera on. And I'm super appreciative of that opportunity. So unfortunately, you're not going to get to see any of it, but that's okay. Neither here nor there. I just wanted to bring you back to show you that we did recover my deer, and tonight we are going to cut it and package it. Now, one of the things I've been missing on the pantry shelf for about a year now, or just over a year, is canned venison. And I know for some of you that might turn you off, and it did for me too at the beginning when I had first heard about it. I was like, that sounds gross. But it is one of the tastiest meats I've ever had. So when I shot this deer, in my mind, before I even saw any deer this season, I wanted to have canned venison. So a lot of this I'm going to cube into 1-inch cubes, and I'm going to can. I'm going to maybe try and do that tomorrow night after work. But the rest is going to go into maybe some chops, especially we like to do the back straps and the loins into chops. And then the rest we're probably just going to cut and grind, because I like to make a lot of meals with just ground venison. So it's a pretty simple process for both Brian and I, just to process it ourselves and package it up that way. In previous years, I've actually made bone stock, but honestly, I have so much bone stock left and still a ton of bones in the freezer from beef that we bought in the springtime from a friend. I also have pork bones and of course all of our rabbit, chicken, and turkey. So I'm not going to keep the bones this time, but normally I do when we get a deer. So just a little bit of information. I know I included a little bit of footage here of me shooting, but I do hunt with a compound bow. I'm pretty stubborn that way. I do not like to hunt with a gun. Not saying that I wouldn't. I've been caught short a couple of times where a big deer came in kind of just out of bow range during the gun season. I am one of those folks. You might call me loony for hunting with my bow during gun season, but I prefer it that way. So I did shoot this deer with my compound bow. So very minimal damage, but we did have to remove some parts around the rib cage just from bruising when the animal was on the ground. But for the most part, it looks good. We only have a couple of roasts left from my venison last year and from the roadkill deer that we got. So we need a little bit more venison in the freezer, but after this, the freezer will be full. So it's a pretty kind of exciting time of year. It takes a lot of pressure off to know that our freezers and bellies will be full. And of course, we have enough to share with family and friends. So it's pretty awesome. I'm just gonna pick up the rack. Now, of course, the head is off the animal. So I don't know, YouTube might not even wanna show this, but I'm gonna show you just to show you what he looks like up close. Like I said, I don't hunt at all for the rack, but I've always said, if a big deer comes in, I'm not missing the opportunity to shoot it. And I've never shot a big deer before. Usually it's just little forkers, or what do you call them, Y horns or whatever, or even just a pronger. I don't care. If it's in front of me and it presents a good shot, I shoot it. And that may change in the future, but I don't foresee that happening ever. The little Y horn that came in with this guy was the deer that I was going to shoot until this one walked in. So yeah, it was all good. Okay, so I'm going to try and show you the least amount of blood, but the most amount of antlers. So this is pretty cool. This is what, I guess he would have been an 8-pointer, but he's got this kind of wonky antler here. But what's cool is that he's got these little, I guess like the pros call them kickers, on the backs of the antlers, and there's a tiny little one over here. So pretty neat. That's the first time I've ever kind of seen those on a deer up close, one that I've shot anyways. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of this deer, not just because of the size. There are a lot of things that kind of I was thinking about in the stand. Buck fever is a real thing. I get it when a doe's in front of me, so I'm going to call it deer fever, not even just buck fever. And maybe if it were a bigger buck, but I shake I shake a lot. I was shaking when the little Y horn came in. So, but the cool thing about this deer was that as it was coming in and making scrapes and all that, I wasn't even, honestly, at that moment, I was still shaking, but I was just so appreciative of the opportunity to see a deer make a scrape that close. Just like this year, I've seen fawns suckling on the mom, and I could hear the suckling, like just a younger or an older fawn still trying to feed on the mom. So just those moments and those opportunities, it's stuff that some people in the world are never going to see. So I really do not miss an opportunity to take or enjoy those small moments kind of in hunting and in what I do. So yes, I'm out there to fill the freezer, but I would have been just as appreciative if I hadn't been able or been presented with a shot. And honestly, one of my biggest things is not putting the pressure on myself to shoot. And so yesterday I was reminding myself, don't shoot unless you have the perfect shot, which is what we always do, making sure that you're hold the shot. You don't move your bow. I was just reminding myself, it gave me a lot of time to make a good shot. So anyways, I could talk about it forever because it is an exciting time. It's sad for me also. It's always hard taking a life, same with any of the animals that I butcher. But knowing that where my meat came from is so important to me. And as I get older, it gets to be more important. So anyways, come along with us as we butcher this deer and put it in our freezer. Okay, I got my little makeshift butcher station set up here. I got my coffee. Those who know me know I do not drink coffee anytime past probably 11 a.m. It's usually 6 a.m. So you know it's gonna be a pretty late night, but we are going to get this deer cut. So I'm just gonna go out and get the shoulder and get rolling. Our meat bin is pretty sparse. Okay, folks, we are almost done. I've been at this for 5 hours, although we did take time in there for dinner, so that doesn't count. We've got 2 tubs full. Oh, that's more than 30 pounds. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna say that might be 30 or 40 pounds. I'm gonna weigh it, so stay tuned. I have my cubed meat for my canned venison. We have a bunch of really nice roasts, mostly from the backstrap, and then we have the 2 tenderloins. So this is for the grind for sausage and ground venison. So what I'm gonna do is package this into probably 5-pound packages, and then we're gonna freeze it and we'll grind it and refreeze it for the ground meat, and same with the sausage. It's just easier for us to do it that way. We don't have time. The cubed venison I'm going to can tomorrow night, and the roast I'm going to package. So while Brian kind of works away in the last bits and bites, I'm going to start packaging. Thank goodness for postal scales. I don't know if you can read that, but it says 56.1 pounds plus 18 pounds of the cubed meat. So dudes, that's 74 pounds of meat from that deer. I'm tickled. I am super tickled. Lots to learn from these last couple days, but I'm going to bring you back for canning the meat, hopefully tomorrow night. So we'll see you then. Dude, 74 pounds total. But I don't...
Including what's in the fridge?
Yeah. Hey everybody, this is day 3 of the post-deer harvest, or day 2 of post-deer harvest, I guess. And we've packaged everything else up and it is down in the freezer, but the last thing I have to do is make my canned venison. So I have the bowl. I think this was about 18 pounds of venison, and I just covered it in saran and put it in the refrigerator overnight. And so now what I have to do is get it in the jars. And so last time I canned the venison, I added just salt, and that is optional. So the only reason you would add salt to pressure canned foods is for flavor. So to some of these, I'm going to add salt. And to some, I'm going to add a combination of Montreal steak seasoning and spicy pepper medley. So I've taken out 4 quarts and then a couple of pints, about 5 pints. I don't think I'm gonna fill all this. And so what we're going to do again, this is a cold pack and you don't add anything to the jars, just the meat plus the seasoning. So you don't have to add any kind of other water or anything like that. So I'm just gonna find my teaspoon measure. Open this up. I'm just not sure about the amount of this to add. It says on the National Center for Home Food Preservation, it recommends, goodness, Tulip's playing with her baby. It recommends 2 teaspoons. Good night. It recommends 2 teaspoons of salt. So I'm guessing that it might require 2 teaspoons of this stuff as well. That's what I'm going for. Might regret that. So I use this meat, this canned meat, to make quick stew because I have canned potatoes, canned carrots, canned beets, canned corn. I add all that to the meat mixture with some broth, and I make a quick stew. It's like ready in 10 minutes, literally. Okay, so I'm just gonna add 2 teaspoons, 1 of each of these to each 2 quart jar. And I'm only doing 2 this way. I think I'm gonna regret that as well because it smells really good just like this. Yeah, I don't know. It smells so good. I'm going for it. I'm gonna do the quarts with this stuff, and then I'm gonna do the pints just with salt. I feel like that's a good. Tulip's getting randy down here. It's funny. Okay. And to the pints, I'm just gonna add a half a teaspoon of salt. Now, all we have to do is pack the jars. So I'll bring you down here to show you how it's done. Super simple, nothing fancy. And there's no pressing the meat down or anything like that. You just add the meat, and just like the chicken I did, it cooks in its own juices. So we're gonna leave a 1-inch headspace. And deer meat is very lean, so you don't have to worry about too much fat at all in causing a problem with the seals, or like it being canned in too much fat. It's super lean. There's hardly any fat. Like on the exterior of the meat, but we trim all that off. There's more than I thought here. So I just got an extra jar, so we're gonna end up with 6 quarts. And these last 2, I just added salt. We're gonna end up with 6 quarts and 5 pints, I think. And I am going with the quarts instead of the pints because, let's be real, Brian and I are both carnivores, and so we both like to eat a lot of meat. So I know that when I make a stew, I'll open one of those pints and then have to go get like 1 or 2 more. So it's better if I just do another quart. This makes me so excited because last winter I didn't can any. Actually, what happened was I forgot. Like, I don't even know what was happening. So I've got my heat on under the canner, and I'm just gonna give these a wipe with vinegar just to clean the rims, because I threw a few pieces of meat around there briefly. Okay, get the lids on to finger tight. Okay, and I'm gonna get all these in the canner. Okay, we've got the venison in the canner, It is going to process, because I have quarts in there, for 90 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure. If I was only canning pints, I would only can them for 75 minutes. So I'm gonna wait to vent for 10 minutes, then I'm gonna add my weight at 10 pounds of pressure and time 90 minutes from there. I just wanted to mention that you can also can ground meat. So if I wanted to, I could have ground the venison and then canned it that way, but we prefer cube just because we use it to make stew. One of the other things I just wanted to quickly mention that I've been thinking about is for a number of years I watched a lot of hunting shows, and I always, honestly, being a hunter, and of course I'm a beginner, I haven't been hunting for very long, and I don't really have a lot of time to dedicate to the science of hunting. But I used to watch a lot of hunting shows, and I just always thought like the filming process, I was like, oh, that's really cool, they can film it. I'm telling you right now, if you're wondering why I didn't film my hunter, there is no way that I would be able to film my hunt. I mean, I could probably turn a camera on and point it in the direction of where I thought the action would be, but ultimately it would probably be in the wrong direction, and then I would just waste a lot of hours and time and disk space and all that on filming. So I hope the picture will suffice. For those of you that it bothers, I completely understand. If you're not a hunter or you don't believe in hunting, I totally understand. But it's something that I love to do. I love the whole idea of harvesting my own meat, but I don't know that I will ever get to the point that I will be able to film my hunts. Honestly, I get deer smell me all the time, and like even just when I blink, I feel like they can see me. So there's no way that I would be able to manage a camera other than just turning it on and hoping for the best. And maybe we'll get there someday, but I'll tell you what, it's hard enough just to put a deer on the ground with a bow for me anyways. So we'll wait for this to come to temp, put the gauge on, and I'll come back at the end once the meat is done and once I'm taking the jars out of the canner so you can see the finished product. All right, 90 minutes is up. I've let the pressure gauge come back down to 0, and I'm gonna take all the canned venison out of the canner. All right, well, that's pretty awesome. We got 6 quarts and 5 pints of canned venison. I'll report back on the ones that I canned with steak seasoning, Montreal steak seasoning instead of just plain salt. But I'm pretty excited to have this back on the pantry shelf because it does make for an awesome quick stew on a busy winter evening. And I'll probably make a video of that. Music to my ears. Just so that you can see how quick and easy it is to use canned meat. So anyways, I'm super grateful to have been able to harvest that deer, and I hope if you're a hunter, you have a successful season. And if not, and you eat meat, you think about different ways that you can preserve meat, including canning. It is a really awesome way to preserve your meat for longer than you could in a freezer if you can it, to make it shelf stable. So have a great night. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.